Hey guys, it's Thursday. This is video one. We're only going to have one video today because we're discussing the midterm unit. It's only going to be 2 days, so today and Friday. It's due Friday, 11:59 p.m. on eCampus, and the reason why it's so quick is not only because it's a summer class, but because you already have basically all of the materials. So the midterm portfolio, again, is your narrative paper revision, a reflective cover memo, which I'll discuss what that means today, and the rhetorical analysis paper that you're just copying and pasting into your midterm portfolio, because I'm not able to get all of them graded and returned to you and give you revision time before the midterm is due. Okay, so let's go ahead and just look at some of the documents that I have uploaded for you guys to help guide you with this midterm. So if you go to coursework, papers, midterm portfolio, it's going to pull up 4 documents here. The midterm memo sample I've already talked about. It's what you're going to receive after I have assigned you a grade on your midterm. Again, this grade does not go down anywhere. It's basically just a progress report. It's for me to communicate with you how you're doing in the class, how you can improve that grade, if you should just keep working as hard as you're working, etc. So we have the rubrics. These have been up since day one. The midterm portfolio template, I'll pull up in a second, and the reflective cover memo guidelines. So we're going to take a look at each one of these documents. So let's look at the template first, because I think it's easier to kind of have a model of what to do. So here I would recommend just downloading the template, which is this here, and then copying and pasting your information into the template, because this is already formatted exactly how it should be formatted. All you need to do is put up here, of course, your last name, add your name here. Please, please, please don't just ignore this. I've already put the date in for you. I've already put the subject line. The reflective cover memo, a memo in terms of the genre or the format is single-spaced, and it is the paragraphs are indented differently. So you do not indent paragraphs in a memo format. Instead, if I wanted to start a second paragraph, I would just start typing here, but I leave a space here. So it's single space, so keep that in mind. And then the rest of the portfolio is double spaced, like you have been doing with your papers and your writing responses. Okay, so all of this spacing, keep all the same. You'll just start your reflective cover memo on this line. And if you need to create another paragraph, then you just add a space. It is single spaced, as I said again, so please don't have a double spaced memo showing up. And then it should be 1 to 2 pages, again, single spaced, okay? What to include in your reflective cover memo. So I asked you what reflection means, and your response to that will partially inform what should go in this memo. So this memo is a space where you can include, or you should include, what you changed, what revisions you made to your narrative and why. Also, you can talk about your writing process. How do you approach research? How do you approach writing? And I've given you a couple of examples here, what you've learned so far, how you feel you've improved as a writer, any trouble spots you still have with your writing. So this should be organized. It should have paragraph breaks. It should have correct grammar. Don't present a sloppy portfolio, because again, this is like an argument from you to me saying, I have learned these skills. I am not only a competent writer, but a good writer, and my ethos is kind of all on the table now, okay? So this is a trial run for your final portfolio, so do your best with this, and you'll get a midterm report back to show how well you're doing in this class. Okay, so you might have a full paragraph about hooks, or introduction paragraphs, or conclusions, or topic sentences, or quoting, or plagiarism. I mean, we've discussed a lot of skills and a lot of topics in this class so far, so think about a few that you have learned. Hopefully there's 1 or 2 that you can think of. And also you might say in the final portfolio, I plan to do these things, so that you create almost a checklist for yourself to make your job easier week 6 when we get into the final portfolio. And you'll have pretty much a whole week to put all that together, so it'll not be quite as rushed. For the reflective cover memo, I've also included this document here, which again is right here, Midterm Reflective Cover Memo Guidelines. It is another document that gives you some ideas for what should go in the memo. Purpose, if you want to talk about purposes of your papers, if you want to talk about genre conventions. Headings, you might talk, if you want to talk about headings, you can. These are just some kind of like checkpoints. Is your grammar, spelling, punctuation under control, or is it good? Is it correct? Tone and style. If we've talked a lot about conventions, is that important? Did you learn something in terms of tone and style with this paper? Okay, or with the papers that we've done so far. So that's pretty much it for the memo. If you have questions about that, please email me. I do respond relatively quickly, and you will have time still to work on this for the final portfolio. Okay, so let's jump over to the sample. So this is from a student, first semester, and he, just to give you kind of a visual representation of this, he had everything. He got an A. I mean, this was really strong writing, really great organization. He followed all the directions. He really challenged himself as a writer and as a student. So I'm not going to put this online because I don't want you guys to like copy anything or even copy the style of it. I want you to come up with your own styles. But he, in his reflective cover memo, just to give you some more examples, is he was really specific with stuff. So he talked about his titles, how he wasn't great at forming titles, and then he looked at some of the title lessons and improved upon that. He talks a little bit about my feedback and his peers' feedback. He's actually listening and going in and implementing these things. His tone, he mentions here. He actually has a quote from one of his own his own paper, and he's saying how he improved it. And then he gets a little bit broader, and he says, I could not have asked for much more, blah, blah, blah. The main thing is don't BS and don't have any fluff, because I'm great at detecting these things, and if you cannot fill a minimum of one single space page with what you have done in this class and what you've learned or what you still need to learn in this class, then you probably shouldn't be in this class. So being able to fill the minimum is not only the assignment, but it's also just shows me how invested you are in this class and how you want to improve. All right, then after the reflective cover memo, he starts his narrative revision down here. He has the heading that's correct. He has his title, and then his paper all the way down, then his rhetorical analysis. Not a revision for you guys, just rhetorical analysis paper. Again, just copy and paste what you have. All right, so he has all that, and the works cited page is correct. Some of these entries are not correct, but the placement and the formatting is. It's alphabetical order, plural for works, etc. Okay, so that is a sample of the midterm portfolio. And what I would do after this, so after receiving all of them, I'll wake up Saturday and start grading all of them. And here is a rubric of all of the major projects in this class. So this is for a portfolio, A, B, C, D, F portfolios. Superior portfolios, what counts as an A portfolio? Here's a rubric for that. What counts as a B, C, D, F? All right. Exploratory writing, these are the 10 writing responses. You've only done 5, so hopefully I've received 5 out of 5 of those. And like I said, today, Thursday, at noon, the portal will close for Unit 2. So for the narrative portal is already closed, but for the rhetorical analysis unit, that will close Thursday the 14th at noon. So make sure you have your stuff turned in by then. All right, participation. So this is a little bit altered. Your free writes for every day count as you basically coming to class. So if you haven't been doing your free writes like multiple days in a row, then you're probably going to be marked like a D or an F level, because that's basically like you have missed class every single day. There are only a couple of people who have to worry about this. You can, during the second half of the semester, participate stronger in class or more strongly. So, for an online class, it's much easier to get superior participation because the free writes, if you just do them, you get credit, but do them on time and do like a good minimum amount of work. Again, 3 to 5 minutes worth of continuous writing. All right, and then this is the criteria for the overall portfolio at the end of the term. So we'll talk more about this during week 6, but just be aware it is there. So these, again, are the rubrics. I mentioned them before. But they're always good to take another look at if you are, aiming for a specific grade. Okay, so that's pretty much all for the midterm. 2 more notes for this video. The main thing with your midterm is in your narrative paper, I have provided a lot of feedback, and also in your writing responses, I try to provide a ton of feedback for you guys. So I expect you not only to look at that feedback, but to implement it. So if I say like, this introduction, think about doing this, then I want to see some effort geared toward that thing. All right. The main focus, this is a process-based class. So the main focus should be you're improving. You're not just repeating work and just sending the same thing in time and time again. So make sure that you are listening to some of the feedback, or even in your reflective cover memo, you might even explain, yes, I see that this point was valid you made, but I decided to go this route for this reason. Okay, you can definitely, it's your own work. So if you want to argue a point, just make sure it doesn't have the subtext of laziness, because that will be BS and fluff. And like I said, I will identify that, and that's no good to keep in your one document you're presenting as an argument for your grade and for your knowledge as a writer and a student. So the other thing is, so if I say this needs revision versus if I say it needs to be proofread, proofread is something minor. It's those grammatical errors. There are rubrics. Every single rubric that I provide, there's a column at the bottom. It says proofreading, or like grammar, blah, blah, blah. If you have a focus for revision in that column, then that means you really need to proofread more carefully. The harder thing to do is revision. And so revision means you might delete a whole paragraph. You might change the structure completely of the paragraphs. You might need to write a new intro. All right. Revisions are much more involved, but they often produce better papers. Okay. So the last thing I'm going to comment on in this video, again, I'm sorry this one's kind of quick, but I'm trying to fit everything into 15 minutes, is how to approach me after midterm grades. One quick side note, the next video will be over passive and active voice and comma splices, so some grammatical things for Friday's video. So for the end of this video, I've written 4 steps here, and I'm actually going to post this online, and they all sound really sassy. It's because I want to be clear about everything, okay? If you want or you need to approach me after receiving your midterm grade, which you do not have to at any point, because remember I said they don't go down on your transcript, they don't count for anything, they just are literally a communication pathway between you and me, to say, hey, you're not doing so well, or hey, you're doing really well, keep doing what you're doing, okay? So the first step is take 24 hours. I will not respond to any emails before 24 hours, and I want you to take 24 hours just to let you cool down or think about your own writing, etc. Read all of my comments. I do take a lot of time in this class, especially because it's all online, and I can't communicate with you any other way than through these videos or through writing. So read all of my comments. I take a lot of time trying to be clear. Read the rubrics, the 4 that we just pulled up. All right, be honest with yourself. Do you fit into these categories? How can you fit into these categories? That's something that we could talk about. And then the last thing is, if you decide to ask me questions after you've done these first 3 steps, then ask me specific questions. Do not ask me, why did I get this grade? I won't answer that question, but I will answer any specific question you have. Okay, so good luck with the midterm. Tomorrow I'll post a video about some grammar elements, and please let me know if you have questions.